Welcome everybody to this live webinar here that Eckhart Yoga organizes for this course about the hormones. I'm very honored to be here in quite hot, sweaty Mallorca because I saw many of you are checking in for more rainy areas. So, Germany, Netherlands, Scotland, Ireland, France, UK, Greece, even so, United States, Canada, and Kenya also. So, welcome to everybody. We have half an hour here, which will be then followed with 4 questions that you have to dive a little bit deeper into the world of the hormones, a topic that you all know, or we all know, how complex it can be. And it's an amazing topic, but here for this half an hour, I just pick one element out, which I found and I find that understanding this topic, this element here from the hormones, may shift our relationship to them, may awaken our curiosity to really understand them better, may, of course, also want you to sign up for this course that's very um, simply structured so you can understand in an easy way this topic that can be so overwhelming and confusing. So today we concentrate, or I guide you deeper into the role that the hormones have when stress is present in our life. And we all know that stress may be something that harms us. And we all know that somehow it may have its sacrifices. But especially in relationship with the hormone, I find it very interesting, and it gives us a clear right entrance into understanding how amazingly our body works, our hormones, and how directly they respond to outer and inner events. So, first of all, just to let you know, this half an hour, you will get a lot of inputs, but I will also offer you some practices that you can go into, some poses that you can go into, from where then, in a relaxed pose, you can listen to the information, and probably the information will get to your consciousness in an even better and also direct way. So, if you want to have a block ready, a blanket, and a bolster, then this will for sure help you. First, to know what hormones are. Hormones are messengers that travel through our bloodstream and that are telling glands, organs, and tissues all the time what to do, whether they need to speed up and get activated, or whether they need to slow down and calm themselves. Hormones also, as I said already, respond directly to inner and outer events, which will be very relevant once we talk about stress. And then also, hormones are a direct mirror, a very clear mirror of where we really are in this moment. So, what I really like here is to guide you into the hormones from an Eastern perspective. Because when we go into the hormonal world from the Western perspective, we really are meeting a lot of complicated terms, a lot of complex interconnectedness. And this is not even necessary in order to understand the hormones and in order to make wise choices to go in a healthy, in a strong, and in a graceful way through our life, especially through the different aging processes. So, with the Eastern perspective, we go into the world of duality. And duality means just finding the balance between two polarities. In Chinese medicine, we call them yin and yang. Ayurveda also treats that, but with other terms. So, just let's stay here with yin and yang. When these two forces and energies and opposite forces are in balance, then we say we are healthy. And this is happening in all the perspectives where we apply duality. Now, when we go into the duality from the hormones, we find exactly the same scenario. We have on one side the yin hormones, and on the other side, the yang hormones. Both of them are essential for our survival, for our health. Both of them have very opposite um, purposes and functions, and both of them dance with each other, complement each other, and support each other. So, when they are symptoms of hormonal imbalance, like insomnia, hot flashes, pain in our articulations, in our joints, sweats, night sweats, um, or also bones that get more and more brittle, and many, or also painful menstruations, it always means that there is an imbalance between the yin hormones and the yang hormones. So, here I want us to understand what they do and how stress enhances this imbalance on a hormonal level, especially with what is going on with the years on an internal level, when the yin hormones, the yin aspects of our endocrine system decrease. So, for that, I just invite you to just lie onto your back first. Bring the knees a moment into your chest and have a moment here to arrive, to calm your mind, to settle your body, and to open your intellect to knowledge that goes far beyond complex intellectuality. That's really simple depending from which part and perspective we look at onto it. So put your feet below your knees and just begin a few times movement here to lift up and down your hips, cultivating or going into the yang aspect here of our body as we start talking about the yang aspects in relationship of the hormones. So feel the activating force here, muscular action, focus to bring the body in a certain shape, burning eventually after a while of the muscles, just a few more times here to wake up, to energize our mind so we are capable to digest the information that will be presented to us. And next time you are up with your hips, just stay there a few breaths. Make sure that you have a block nearby. And eventually just put the block horizontally underneath your butt. So your sacrum, the bony part, rests on it. And then straighten the legs out again on the ground. So you are in an elevated Shavasana. In Yin Yoga, we call this open bridge. So, what are the yang aspects in our hormone system? What is the purpose of stress? And how do the yang aspects, the yang hormones, react to stress? Stress itself is a very important and amazing function of our body. Without all the reactions, the physical and chemical reactions that are linked to stress, we would not be able to survive. So, stress and also cultivating and challenging the responses to stress is very important, because if we do not do that, then these functions that are innate in our software waiting there to be used, they will become weak, they will deteriorate, they will become um, unusable, let's say that. And so, what happens when stress is present in a real way, like a track turning out into our street while we are driving in a very relaxed way, our daily routine to work or back home? Or whether it is a perceived stress, an imagined stress, like opening our mailbox and fearing that there is another letter from our tax office, another um, letter from our landlord that we are late with our rent. When either of this is happening, the hormones adrenaline and cortisol are being sent out into our body, into our system. They make our heart work faster, beat faster. They make us sweaty, cold hands. They bring all the activity from our digestive and reproductive system away into our limbs, so we are able to run or to fight. And they make us very alert. So this is an action that we want to have, we want to be capable of, we need to be capable of in order to survive in this life, in this material world that we are born into. The problem is that when stress becomes to becomes a life philosophy, becomes the normal layer that we are driving on, becomes the energy that is always present, motivated, burning up, transforming, moving forward, never still, always focused, always improving, always active, always using energy and never becoming still. All these are yang qualities. So when this becomes a constant state of our being, then there will be always a lot of cortisol. This hormone, one of the two stress hormones, will be in our system as well as adrenaline. But adrenaline will reduce again quite quickly, and cortisol will linger in our system for much longer. And the more cortisol will linger in our body, the more sensitive we become to something that may be stress. And if it's just the phone ringing, if it's just a certain music we hear, if we hear a door slam, so we become more and more sensitive. More and more adrenaline will be sent into our system, and then more and more cortisol will linger in our body and keep us in this highly alerted state that's essential for survival, but needs also its time of rest. And usually, when our body, our system, our stage where we are in is healthy and strong, this stress can be balanced and buffered up with the yin aspects of our body, the juicy, the lubricating, the nourishing part of our body. But as we will see when we go into the yin aspects, these yin aspects will decrease with age. And also, the world that we are living in is more cultivating and promoting the yang aspects. So, for sure, there will always be enough, if not too much, yang in our body, which will then release these yang hormones, the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. And if they cannot be balanced with enough yin aspects and hormones, these too long and increased stress will eventually sacrifice other substances and reserves of our body. Yin hormones, we will go into this a little bit later, digestive system, our nervous system, our bones, our immune system, and slowly, slowly, bok a bok, we say here in Mallorca, it will eat up the little resting yin reserves that are already there and that are decreasing anyway with age. So have a few breaths here in this open bridge, letting the information settle into your cells, whether you grasp it now with your intellect or not. Just breathe in and out in your natural rhythms, trusting that this information will somehow resonate consciously or unconsciously in your system. Last deep in and exhalation. Begin to bend the knees again and place the feet on the ground underneath your knees. Lifting the hips a little bit up so you can take the block away, lower the pelvis again. And then simply knees to the chest, rolling a little bit from one side to the other. Roll onto one side. Have a moment here knowing that stress itself is a part of nature and therefore our life. And that our body, our systems, our mind, everything is prepared to face an appropriate amount of stress. And from here, find your way back into a seated position. Have a moment here to settle down, to feel the neutral shape of your spine, your natural breath, grounded, tall, and elegant, while still being relaxed in your breath. And inviting here the yin aspects of our system and hormones, just begin to make circles with the pelvis in one side, towards one side, gentle, knowing that now we go into the lubricating, nourishing, juicy part of our being, of our hormones, going into the sex hormones here, estrogen, progesterone, lubricating not only our joints and tissues, but every single cell here. You can change the direction and really become juicy, become smooth and slow. And know that the yin part, the yin hormones are responsible to build up mass. So they are responsible for the mass that we have, that we represent in our physical body. They make sure that we can move bones to bone at the joints without pain. They make sure that when we move, that we can move in a fluid, pain-free way. They make sure that our skin is shiny throughout the age, elastic. And your circles can become slower and slower with time here. Slowing down the yin quality, lubricating, nourishing, and building up mass, important functions of our yin hormones, the sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And from here, you can simply open one leg to the side and find your way here into a half dragonfly to the side with bolsters or blocks where you can relax, propping yourself up, bringing the juice into your fascia connective tissue, getting into your breath, and allowing the theory and information again to settle into your system while being relaxed. Just breathe in and out, knowing that we build up our yin aspects by proper foods, drink, and also healthy relationships, enough rest and recovery time, loving positive thoughts versus aggressive, fearful thoughts, a slow rhythm, relaxed mind versus all the yang aspects that we had a look at before. And when we go to one of these sex hormones, the estrogen, it is very difficult to imagine that we would ever have too little estrogen in our body. There are three different types of estrogen. We have estradiol, the main estrogen in our body that is produced by the ovaries and then later also by the adrenal glands. We have the estrone, which is produced in pregnancy in the placenta and later can be transformed through the liver into the main estrogen, the estradiol. And then we have another one, estradiol, the placenta one that is not so important here. And these estrogens are present in every single cell because they are not only produced by the ovaries or then later when the ovaries stop their production by the adrenal glands, but they are also produced by using precursors in our fat tissue, in our liver, in our bones, in our muscle tissue, in our brain. So it's very difficult to imagine that we can ever have too little estrogen. And knowing that estrogen is a sex hormone and is important to buffer and to balance our stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol when there is stress in our life, we understand that it is important that estrogen and progesterone is there all the time. So when we look now into progesterone, progesterone will have another benefit to it. So you can now slowly come out of your side stretch into in half dragonfly, and you can just change the sides here. Go to the other side, prop yourself up, take enough time and be there because we come now to the very interesting and important key point When we look deeper into progesterone, progesterone is within the yin hormones, estrogen and progesterone, the more yang aspect. Okay, progesterone, one of it's also lubricating, nourishing, building up mass, but it has two main functions. One is to keep our bones dense and healthy, and the other one is to keep estrogen in check. If estrogen builds up too much mass and makes us too lubricated and builds up us too much weight and tissue, we can become very heavy. So progesterone really counter or comes in as a counter player, still a yin hormone, but very yang. And interesting now, this is the point of the whole webinar here where we go into, is that progesterone can be used to create more estrogen when there is too little estrogen in our tissue, which we'll see right now how this can happen. But progesterone can also be used as precursor to produce a stress hormone, the cortisol. When there is a lot of stress and no more the cortisol and the adrenaline are not sufficient anymore, then the sex hormones, the progesterone, is being sacrificed to produce more cortisol in order to respond to enhanced stress. And as progesterone can be transformed into estrogen and into cortisol, we may say, well, but then there is not a problem at all because progesterone can always make sure that there is enough yin, but it is because the body will always prioritize survival, stress hormones, to reproduction, the sex hormones. This is an important point to know. And as with age, at the age of 35, this internal balance of yin and yang, of sex and stress hormones, is already coming out of balance. It's important here to understand that at the age of 35, our progesterone will decrease already quite a bit, which is interesting because at the age of 35, the possibility of osteoporosis in women, when the bones can break more easily, also increases. So progesterone decreases, and the chance and the tendency to break your bones and to have brittle bones also becomes bigger because there is less progesterone in our body. And this will continue and enhance once we come to our menopause. Once progesterone and estrogen continue to decrease an important amount, I do not even use numbers, but so our internal balance, can you see that? This is the yang, this is the yin, these are the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. These are our sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So our internal balance is already out of balance, the hormonal balance. And somehow here, the body will already use, depending how much stress we have in our life, the body will either be able to compensate, or when there is too much stress in our life because we do not want to slow down, we do not want to delegate. We do not want to take more rest. We do not want to step out of a toxic relationship. We do not want to get out or quit or reduce the hours of a job where we get mobbed or where the stress is unbearable but the status is higher. If this is happening, then this continuous stress will not only send more and more cortisol and adrenaline in our body and increase the stress, it will also take some of the leftover of the um, precious yin reserves that can keep us juicy throughout age. It will take our precious body, who is so intelligent, prioritizing survival, will take progesterone and instead of convert it into estrogen to keep our sex hormone level high, it will use progesterone and it will have to transform it into cortisol to respond to this stress until we eventually will collapse. So the important message here is to understand that there is an internal decrease of the yin hormones, progesterone and estrogen, starting at around the age of 35, that our body will always balance each other, but that the hormones respond directly to outer events in our life, what we eat, what we drink, how much we rest, how much we move, what activities we do, who is around us, and what kind of stress management we have to deal with in our life. So it is important, really important, that we understand that we step into a process that our body is already dealing and doing such amazing things, process of compensation to keep us balanced as long as possible. But eventually, we do not have any other choice than to really step in, reduce our stress management, eat healthier, have healthy relationships, and become an active part of our hormonal health, of our overall health. So, those who are still in this side stretch, half dragonfly, move yourself slowly out. And you can either come to a seated pose or lie onto your back or belly. Relating to these messengers that are constantly dancing, compensating, supporting each other, that have their own rhythm along the different states and also stages in our life, that decrease with time, especially the yin hormones, progesterone and estrogen, that the stress hormones, amazing in their function, kick in the more stress there is, and will eventually eat up the yin reserves if there is not an adaptation from our side to contribute to maintain a balance between the yin and yang aspects in our life in regards of food, in regards of our daily rhythms, in regards of what we do, in regards of relationships. And where and how we get and enhance the yin aspect or cultivate the yang aspects in order to stay strong, this then opens a lot of more doors that each one of us has to decide on her own. Do we want to go more into Ayurvedic traditions, into acupuncture, herbs? Do we want to take hormones? Do we respond with nutrition? Do we make changes in our private life, in our professional life? But for sure, each one of these elements will have its effect on our hormonal balance and ultimately also on our balance on all the other systems, digestive system, immune system, our nervous system, the consistency of our bones, the health of our organs, and the clarity of our mind. There is so much more to say, so I stop here with this little topic that I took out from this course that you can sign up at Eckhart Academy. And you're very welcome now to ask questions that I will see that I can hopefully follow up. You can write them in if you have questions to it. In the course itself, there is also an updated Q&A sheet at the end of the course. And of course, you can always make comments while you're doing the course. I think for the next, there is a 20% discount for the next 48 hours that Eckhart Yoga is offering you for this course. After this webinar, you will get an email with the link, with the code that you can use to sign up to this course. So if there are not any more questions, I know that it's always a topic that is quite complex, but I think once we get the simplicity of the yin and yang duality and how the yin and yang hormones work with each other, then it will already invite us to make different choices that we maybe did if we didn't know about this interaction between the stress hormones and the sex hormones. So I think I hope that everybody is still on. We didn't get any message that anything was wrong, so I hope everything was fine. And if there are not any more questions, check the course out. We just see here. Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much for letting me know. Can you recommend some books via email to further learn about this hormone? Thank you. I just wrote a book, Yin for Life, where the hormones also are exactly from Western and Eastern medicine an important topic. You can find it through Amazon because it's a self-published book through Amazon that makes it possible for me to have published it in such a quick way. I think you're still here. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. I'm happy that it got to you. It's very difficult to pick one topic of this big one, but really the course you have in the course theory presented in bites and bits that you can digest, practices for yin and yang to cultivate also these different energies, and also practices that respond to issues that can come from an imbalance on a hormone in the hormonal hormone system, in the endocrine system. So stay tuned, please, through Accurate Academy. Sign up to this course. I'm very happy to share this material with a bigger audience, as I think it needs to go out there so that we women can go through the different stages that come with quite a bit of changes, much more than in the life and the body of a man, that we can go through it in a healthy way, but conscious way and proud way to go through these different um, stages. So thank you so much also for your wonderful comments. I hope to see you again. Will this remain on YouTube for a bit? I was late joining in. I think it will be recorded by Eckhart. It will be there forever. David just tells me that because he's a long Eckhart yogi and knows how it works on Eckhart yogi. So it will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube on the Eckhart channel. Okay. Valentina from Barcelona, wonderful. I see a lot of wonderful common names and also others that I have never seen. So be well, stay tuned, and don't be shy to write the comments in the course that I will always respond as quick as possible. Just be also patient with me. Link. Okay, so Eckhart just says, no worries, you will receive the link to the recording via email, all of you who have signed up for it. Thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful day. Enjoy your body, enjoy the hormones, and thank you for being with me.